Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Jester Average YouTube. And today we are building bridges. Yes, we are building bridges, not walls, or something like that. Or is it burning bridges, not building walls? That doesn't make sense. Okay, we're building bridges, not building walls. And today we're going to be building bridges. So I want to go over the three types of bridges they use in architecture: the curvature bridge, which is an archway bridge; the truss bridge, which is the generic sort of bridge. It's supported by pillars, either vertically or horizontally, depending on which angle, or just depending on things. And those things are what we're going to be building today in our beautiful building world. So, of course, you're going to want to start with some sort of leg up, so that way you can get above the water. It's really hard to get the right sort of angle, and that is probably the most integral part of your bridge, is getting the right angle of and height of how big you want your bridge to be, because that's going to be the defining quality that really points your bridge out. Now, for the truss bridge, you want a curve sort of upward, or like a small ramp, and then just flatness, because it's a very basic bridge. This is like what you imagine when you imagine a normal bridge, usually. And then you want to see, this is a normal bridge. Now it just needs to be supported. This here, I think, is the middle block, right? Depending on how long the bridge is, we can find out the middle block. That's 3 on the other side, and that is 4 on the other side, meaning that we need to go 2 out by going like this. 1, 2, and we'll mine there. And then if we go 1, 2, we should mine there, and there we go. We've got an evenly split bridge. We put logs like this, and it adds a bit more depth to the bridge. You can copy this bridge block by block if you'd like, but that's not really the point of these videos. It's more about building up your own things. And then you have supports going up through the bottom, or you can have supports going along the sides, depending on which way you'd rather do it. Because depending on the size of the bridge, the size of the gap you're crossing, different types of trusses are differently needed. But the most important part is you've got it connecting to a heavy piece of land, such as these are support pillars. This is the most basic type of bridge you can make, with a bit of extra detail and tips on it on how you can make the bridge better. For example, the curvature. But the main thing I have to stress, no matter what, is don't overdo pillars. Don't make like 60 pillars on a bridge that's like 100 blocks long. That is too many pillars, even on a bridge that big. You're going to, probably with a bridge that big, you're probably going to want to go with a larger bridge design than something like this. Probably a suspension bridge, actually, rather than a truss bridge, which we will be also covering later in the episode. But you're going to want larger scale designs than something like this, and you won't want pillars every like 6 or 7 blocks on an 100 block bridge. You'd probably want them every 10 blocks, and then you'd have 10 pillars, which still feels like a lot of pillars, right? Because like this is a decent amount of pillars, and this is just on a very small bridge. This bridge is like 12 blocks long, and we've got 2 pillars, so. And they still feel like a lot. Well, we have 4 pillars, but like it's 2 per side, so that's still quite a bit of pillars. And another thing, just wanted to say, you can add lanterns onto these pillars to give them a bit of light and depth, make it look nice. See, this is a decent looking bridge. I mean, it's not the best bridge ever, but it's a good looking bridge, and it's a good starter bridge. If you want, you can put, you can put crosses across like that, or like, you can put them lower here, so that way it looks more supported, if you just fly on out. But you can also put them a bit lower. But yeah, you can put supports pretty much wherever you need to in order to make the bridge supported. And yeah, it'll look better with trusses. Just remember basic shapes: horizontally, squares; vertically, triangles for bigger bridges. But let's move on to the next bridge, which is going to be a curved bridge. Okay, so first you're probably going to want to build these out of stone. These are the stone bridges that are usually rooted into the ground, and they come up and curve. I wouldn't really suggest using a curved bridge, like an upward curving bridge, for a wooden bridge. You can definitely do one for a stone bridge, and it's actually encouraged because stone doesn't really droop the same way that wood would. Wood would. Same way that like a wooden bridge would droop downwards because wood is weaker, and stone doesn't really go out in a straight line either, like a wooden plank would. Because, like, stone is sort of just there. Like, there aren't stone planks in the world. I mean, there's bricks, but they are not as flexible as wood, and they're not as straight as wood. So you got to go with a completely different shape, and this is the shape of most of the stone bridges. Like, most of these bridges, the archway bridges, are stone bridges. But you're going to want to map out an archway, which I very clearly didn't do. But you're going to want, more importantly than the bridge being actually shaped like an arch, is the archway under the bridge because of the support pillars. The support pillars do not go into the middle of the bridge. So I'm going to build the bridge and then tell you about it, because, like, you need a railing on the side too, because all bridges need railings. What's the point of a bridge without a railing? Because that's dangerous, and you could fall into, like, this 20 block deep water. It's not actually that deep. It's like 5 blocks deep, but still, you could fall, and you could hit your head on the side of the pool, and then the lifeguard would have to come, and we all know that the lifeguard doesn't like coming because he's very, very lazy and doesn't like getting out of his cool chair. That's the whole reason he picked the job. Anyway, I'm getting too complicated, too deep into this. We're learning about bridges today, not lazy lifeguards. So we're just going to want to build the structure down. So if we've got the structure sort of like this, we build that across there, and we want the structure to go into the ground. Unlike the other bridges which go over the ground, these are deep, like, rooted into the ground, because it uses the stone. While it may not be flexible and it may not be straight, stone is a lot stronger than wood. And, like, wood is pretty strong, so that's just how strong. Well, I mean, like, think about it this way: you need a pickaxe in order to break stone. You can break wood with your fist, so that's just how much stronger stone is. Granted, it's a wooden pickaxe, which begs the theory that wood is stronger than stone because you can break stone with a piece of wood. But that's not important right now. What's important is that it's like a strong curved over bridge. And you're going to want to actually, depending on the size, like a small scale bridge like this is actually very hard to do properly. And you're going to want to get in all the detail you can in order to make the curve look just right. Because a bridge that's just under like 20 or 30 blocks, and it's a curved bridge like this made out of stone, it is really hard to get all those little tiny details in. And yeah, so you're going to want to get all the details in. But now that this bridge is pretty much finished, I just want to add a few more things, but I'll do that off camera. It's just me correcting things, but this bridge looks perfectly fine. I mean, the railing could use work and all that, but you know what? This gets a point across the bridge. This isn't building bridge railings, this is building bridge shapes, right? It's the structure of bridges. I mean, we could just put some railing here, but that's not important. We're moving on to the next bridge, the suspension bridge, and the last type of bridge, and possibly one of the strongest bridges, but only in certain scenarios, because suspension bridges are kind of finicky like that. So let's head on over and build one of those suspension bridges. Okay, so now we are building a suspension bridge. Now this build is very different than the other builds, because you start by getting out a plank or like a slab or whatever you're going to build your bridge out of, and you just bridge across. Similarly to the other bridges, except for differently, because you don't start on either end and move inward, you move across. Then what you do is you count out how big the sort of thing is. So we're just going to count this all up right now. And okay, we've got 17 blocks of bridge right here. So we're going to want to go out about 8, and that should be the midsection of the bridge. Now, like I say, this is a suspension bridge. So it's either the most well held up bridges, things like the Golden Gate Bridge come to mind. And there's another bridge I'm thinking of, but it's one of the strongest bridges in the world, but I can't remember it exactly. They come to mind as some of the strongest bridges, and they're suspension bridges. So yeah, the suspension bridges are either like droopy bridges, or they're like really tall, really powerful bridges. So let's put grass here, because that was grass cliff when I started counting, and I don't really want to recount that. But we just put, and nope, wait, nah. So there's two ways you can do this, depending on how big the thing is. you can have a drip, like a little droopy bit in the middle, where this sort of thing drops down, or you can have pillars on the sides with more cables, and the cables reaching down reach to the droopy bits. And considering how small scale this bridge is, I will eventually do a more complex bridge video if you guys would like. But as far as I'm sure, all I really do when it comes to more complex videos is modern houses and that sort of thing. But if you guys really want to see it, let me know. And if you want to see a modern house video, well, I'm coming out with one soon, and so that'll be cool if you really want to see it. But yeah, if we just build this out like this, it sort of drips down into the middle, and we have the suspension cables on the sides, and they reach inward, and there's sort of a dip in the middle. Okay, I've said dip in the middle like 4 times, but that doesn't matter. And that's where the cables will meet up at like one spot, and that's where the support is going to be the weakest, but also at its strongest. So, just something to bear in mind. Like, I could do an entire video on suspension bridges if people would like. Uh, okay, I've said if people would like as well, like 4 times, but that's not important. Just like the other thing isn't important, because suspension bridges rely a lot on knowledge of physics and gravity in order to make work properly and look good, uh, and also function properly in the real world. Like, the architect who designs a like suspension bridge needs a lot of knowledge on physics because of cantilevering and doing all that, so that way they can make sure that the bridge doesn't crash while like 10 people are driving across, and so nobody dies and everybody gets to work and then home safely. But that's not important. What's important is building fancy looking bridges, not functioning bridges, silly. Okay, so we have this little wooden thing across. It's a truss, like our other bridge, the truss bridge, except for it's a different kind of truss. Since it's not a support truss, I mean, it is a support truss, but it's not like the main feature. What is really holding up the bridge is these suspended things, which will suspend the bridge up in the air like this, using. Once we have sideways chains, like horizontal chains over in Bedrock Edition, I will be able to do this better. Because like even though I have Java Edition, as you may have noticed in previous videos, I don't like it. Java Edition's kind of finicky, or not necessarily finicky, but to cut straight to the point of why I don't like Java Edition, it doesn't have better together. And computers are expensive, and none of my friends have them, so what's the point of playing Minecraft alone? It's a creative game it's a creative collaborative game. So why would you ever want to be alone playing? I mean, I get playing it alone. I play alone a lot because why not? Because like I get it. It's good vibing, relaxing game, that sort of thing where you can just chill, play the game. But like it's really fun to like design things and play with your friends. That's the reason I'm even on Survival Evolved, is cuz I like designing and playing with other people. If I didn't, I'd probably just keep playing Jestercraft, because like Jestercraft I do a lot of my own thing. But and same with Survival Evolved, but a lot of the time I'm building shops, or I'm working on mini games. Which reminds me, if you want to see the mini game Iron Knights, it's coming out soon. In actually just a few days, I will be posting about Iron Knights, which is a mini game I came up with to use all the spawners in an area that well, not all of them, because like some of them were too far apart, but I found a mine shaft that was huge. And when I say huge, I mean it spanned around 500, 600 blocks, and in it I found at least 12 spawners, including cave spiders. So I built a dungeon there. But if this is basics of bridge building, and this here is a beautiful suspension bridge. I don't like the little bottom of the thing. What can you do? See, it looks kind of like a rope, and the bridge is suspended. But I'm just gonna keep on adding details to these bridges because I am like that. Even though these bridges will never be seen by anybody ever again after I delete the world. But I hope you enjoyed the video. I had a good time making it. It was actually really fun. I haven't really talked about bridges since like I think 3, 4 years since I like was learning about bridges and engineering bridges, because like when I was in school for a while, I go to school because I'm a teenager, right? And there I took an elective called Makerspace one year, and it was basically just like we learned how to build bridges and engineering stuff, and sometimes I wonder if the information was accurate, because like I'm notorious for questioning school and saying, is this accurate information? Because a lot of the information they gave me is not accurate. But then again, who can really say? Scientists on the internet or teachers? Nobody knows. But yeah, or logic and reasoning. They always fight with each other. But anyway, that'll be it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed the video, because I enjoyed making it. I had a good time talking about bridges, since, like I said, I haven't talked about bridges in like forever, and I love bridges. I forgot how amazing bridges were. My friend and I were talking, and I said, I want to do a build video, and he said, why don't you do bridges? And I was like, you are a genius! And this made a pretty good video. So, that'll be it for this one. Bowdy.